We're going to can some beef stew real quick. I got some roast cut up into little chunks that I browned. I cut up some in this pan right here. I got onions, celery, potatoes, carrots, and a couple tablespoons of garlic on top. And pretty much stew is however you like it. I did like 8 big potatoes, 2 onions, a bunch of celery, and about 1.5 pounds of carrots. And I have got some beef broth right there heating up. I'm going to go ahead and put it in this pan right here that I put the vegetables in. And I'm going to go ahead and heat it up just to a boiling, and then it'll be ready to put in the jars. This is how much beef, probably about 1/3 the way up the jar. See some of the people online filling those jars, I mean 2/3, 3/4 full with just beef. It's like, that's a little too much beef for me. So here's the leftover juice in the pan from browning that beef. Go ahead and dump it in the veggies, and we will dump in all of the beef stock I got. Alright, I'll put a little bit more water because I'm not quite covering the vegetables. And we'll turn that on high because we want to bring that to a quick boil. That way it's hot as you enter it or put it into the jars. Alright, there we go, right there. Now I gotta stir it up really good. And if there's not enough juice in here to top off the jars with the juice, then just add some boiling hot water to it. Because you want to keep your jars hot, especially since they're going back into the pressure canner that's hot right now. I'm not doing a bunch of how-to videos right here with this canning. I'm just showing how easy it is. This is my first canner, and this is about the 4th thing I've done so far. I've done corn, I've done hamburger, 2 batches of hamburger, and raw chicken. And now I'm doing stew. And this digital pressure canner, the Presto, is really convenient. Even someone like me who's never used a pressure canner before can actually figure this one out because it pretty much does all the work for you. And one of the good things is you can, with stews, you can make them bland where you're not putting any spices in them, and you can spice them when you're heating them back up to eat or whatever. I'm going to go ahead, like I said, I put some garlic, some minced garlic in there, and I'm going to put some black pepper, and I'm going to put a bay leaf in each one of those quart jars once I get them topped off right before I put the lid on. But that's the thing about stew. You can put anything in there. Just make it all your own. This way I'm cooking it or heating it up on the pan. It's not going to cook the vegetables. It's just going to have the water or the broth that they're in hot. So then I can scoop it into the jars. You could actually do it by just putting the raw vegetables in the jar too, and then brown your meat. Or you can even put raw meat in there unbrowned, but you bring out the flavor if you brown it a little bit. Then put that in the bottom of the jars, line your vegetables in there, and then put your broth on top of that. And then put the lids on and put it in your canner. Alright, my jars are full. So now I'm going to go ahead and stick that bay leaf in each one. Alright. Now we got to go ahead and wipe off the top of the jars because you don't want any food or anything up there messing with the seal. First I'm going to just wipe it with some plain water. Ooh, those jars are nice and hot. That's how you want them before you stick them in that boiling water in the canner. put a little bit of vinegar on my rag. Do the final wipe with a little bit of vinegar. There we go, nice and clean. Wipe down those threads a little bit. That's where one of these funnels comes in real handy. It helps to keep everything off those. Let's go ahead and put my lids on the jars. You want to keep it, that bottom ring, that's hot. That bottom ring right there on the lid, that's about 1 inch from the top, and you want to keep the water right at that or just barely below it, or and your vegetables and stuff. You want to keep 1 inch of head space. And of course when you put the rings on, you just kind of spin them on like that till they stop, and then just grab it and just finger tight just like that. That's it. Don't sit there and crank really hard on them, because then it doesn't let the pressure out when it's in that canner. When the product is swelling up, you need it to release that. That's why you leave that inch of air on top, or that head space, because then when it pressures up, it pushes that out, and then when it slowly starts cooling down, it's not going to suck anything back in because the lid's on there and it's got that rubber ring. So that's when it sucks that top down and it seals up for you. So that's why I love this canner right here. It's so cool. Got my corn and some hamburger and stuff I've done up there already, and like I said, I'm really enjoying this canner. And these are, it only holds 5 quarts, so that's one of the bad things about it. Don't forget, when you fill it up with the water, put that 2 tablespoons of vinegar in there. That keeps it from leaving hard water stains all over your jars. Let's go ahead. Jars are in. Let's go ahead and put this lid on it. Go ahead and lock it down. Make sure your pressure or your weight is not on there. You don't put that on there until it tells you to. Now it says fill jars. I just filled the jars. You can watch my other videos if you don't know how to use these, or any other video on there how to use these things. Because like I said, it's all automatic. It's so easy. Now I'll push the neck since the jars are filled, and now it goes right to heating. And what it's going to do is once it gets hot, it'll start a 10-minute countdown. Once it gets fully pressurized with steam, it's not pressurized, but when it gets all the steam starting to come up and the water's hot, then it'll do a 10-minute timer, and that'll give it time to push out all the air and to fill the whole cylinder or the inside up with steam. And then it'll tell you to put that weight on there, and then it'll start your countdown. I put it on for 90 minutes for my process time. You set that all at the beginning of this thing. Makes it so nice. Alright, just clicked over, and now it says put regulator on. Make sure you don't put your hand over the steam, because it is hot. Now you'll hear it start to, that one right there, speed up a lot faster. The system's blocked off, and now I can go ahead and hit the next button. And now it says 90 minutes. But that will not start until the pressure gets up to where it needs to be. There it goes. Now when it gets to the right pressure, the countdown will start. There they are, all 5 jars. And I took them out about 10 minutes ago, and all the lids have just sucked down. That's one thing nice about making stew. You can make it your own flavor. Add whatever you like. There's a lot of onions in that, so we like onions in our food. Alright. Thanks for watching. Bye.